Hey, I'm Nick with Dorman Products, and today I'm going to walk you through installing our 926-959 oil filter housing on a 3.2 liter or 3.6 liter Pentastar engine. Our patented OE-Fix aluminum upgrade puts an end to the factory leaks that can plague this engine that's found in so many Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. Your first step is making sure you have identified the problem. Overheating and coolant loss and associated pressure testing can sometimes point to a plastic OEM unit that has failed, but most vehicles will display problems with oil leaking. If you've cracked the housing when performing a standard oil change, condemning the housing as faulty is simple and straightforward. And the same goes for those replacing this unit prematurely with our metal housing before the plastic one fails. However, the driver for this replacement is typically an oil leak. The factory oil filter housing on these engines sits in the intake valley in the V of the motor. You can usually see the leak forming down by the filter unit. On some vehicles, oil will pool in the valley and leak to the back of the engine, mimicking a bad rear main seal if you're looking at the engine from below. UV engine oil dye can be helpful if the leak is very small, but usually the leak is noticeable. Once you've positively identified the root cause of your oil filter housing, it's time to tackle replacement. Let me walk you through the process of putting one of our housings into service. These fit a lot of vehicles, but the installation is pretty similar. Today, you'll see this on a transverse front-wheel drive application, but the engine has also been used in rear-wheel drive longitudinal layouts as well. The process to access the filter differs a bit, but your factory service manual can provide greater detail than I'm going to show you here. Using one is a good idea, especially if you're new to working on vehicles. Draining the oil and coolant will be your first step. After that, the removal process can begin. On most cars and trucks, you'll start the replacement by removing the engine's beauty cover. Set that aside and then assess what other items need to be removed to get into the area in which you'll be working, or rely on the factory manual to guide you. First, you're going to need to remove the air intake tube. It's also possible you'll have some vacuum lines in the way depending on your application, and in the case of many Jeeps, the AC line bracket may need to be loosened to provide adequate clearance. Lay the intake tube aside and then move on to the throttle body. Get that out of the way next, and once that's free of the vehicle, you can remove the upper intake manifold. Note that this may require removal of electrical harnesses like the map sensor and any other harnesses that may be routed over the intake. Most vehicles require removal of the 6-coil wiring harnesses. That will provide good access to the lower intake manifold, which is the next piece you'll take off in this process, and also the final one before you have access to the filter housing that we're replacing. Inserting some rags or towels over the cylinder head intake ports will prevent any stray materials from falling in. At this stage, you'll want to clean up the area around the filter housing. A shop vac and some rags will really help here. After that, you'll want to disconnect the harnesses from the sensors on the housing, which could include coolant temp, oil pressure, or both, and lastly, disconnect the coolant hose. Finally, the old filter housing can be removed. Note that the hardware retaining the housing have external star heads, so you'll need a corresponding E8 socket. Now, there are some housekeeping tasks that you'll want to tackle at this point. If you haven't removed the intake manifold sealing rings from the upper and lower manifold, now's the time to do so. It is also a good time to clean all parts that will be reinstalled. This is also an opportune juncture to make sure that the sealing surfaces on the cylinder head are clean and free of nicks or damage. Don't forget to clean up again after freeing any debris. Assuming you have your new parts in hand, you can move on to the bench. Depending on your application, you'll remove the sensors and transfer them over to the new upgraded housing. If you would like, now is actually a great time to install new sensors. The Dorman kit does not include them because in most cases, the OEM sensors are in fine shape, but we do offer all related sensors if you'd like to replace yours. Following that, begin the install of the new seals in the housing following the instructions included with your new parts. Install the supplied seals for the upper and lower manifold. Be aware that not every seal in the kit will be used, so read the instructions carefully as some of the seals are really easy to confuse. Be certain to lubricate the O-ring on the oil port that hangs lower than the others beneath the oil filter cap. That one is easily damaged. I won't delve too deeply into the reinstallation since it's fairly straightforward. You will reinstall everything in the reverse order that you removed them. One item to be aware of is the torque specifications for your new aluminum housing. The included fasteners should be tightened to 9 foot-pounds. Install the lower and upper manifolds and replace all hoses, components, and brackets that you took off to gain access. Once finished with the mechanical install, you can complete the job by refilling the oil and installing your new orange Dorman cap. Note that the kit upgrades early Pentastars to the latest updated oil filter design, and the filter is included with the kit. Then top off the coolant and bleed the system. Don't forget to reset the oil minder light if the vehicle has one, and then verify proper operation on a test drive. We hope you like this new solution, and remember, if you need anything at all, the Dorman Technical Support team is always available to help. Thanks for checking out our video on this oil filter housing. I'm Nick, and I'll see you next time.